Hey, we want to say shout out to our sponsors, Watchman Cigars, Crave Bath and Body, and Level Up Logo. Without you guys, this episode would not be possible. And Batman, thank you. All right, producer Brian, go for it.
Oh, hello and welcome to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where you're invited to come up on the front porch and sit a spell. We have a great show lined up for you, as always. Surprise, surprise, we're still doing this show. Yeah, if you've been paying attention for the last month, it may not seem obvious, but we're here, and we are going to, I'm going to push buttons so everyone's on the screen. There we go.
There we go.
I'm looking at one. I can't do two things at once. You know that.
All right, I'll do it. There we are.
No, we're good. So we're going to start off here. Introduce the crew. I'm producer Brian. Usually I would be sitting here quietly waiting my turn to speak. But this week's a little different. We do have Erin here, as usual, and then we have a very special guest, Batman. So if you hear some weird sounds or you get very scared, actually don't listen to the show in the dark because you might think like Batman's sneaking up at you. But Biggun's been battling a little illness here, so he's here for moral support, I believe, right?
I'm going to do my best. I'm doing everything known to man. I've been chugging honey, been doing that, drinking teas, hot teas. I had a cough drop in earlier, so I'm doing everything I can. It's a combination of COVID and like drainage and the pollen, sinus drainage and all that stuff. So it's not working out too well.
Wow. Sounds awesome. Well, if you guys don't already know, you can find us on the internet at southernfriedphilosophy.com. That's where all of our social media links are. YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. So please make sure you check out our website. Follow us on socials. Maybe we'll post something from time to time. You never know. Might learn something.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
So evidently, in relation to like social media and whatnot, I looked at my bank account today, and at some point I signed up for Google Ads and didn't realize it.
Uh-oh.
And then I looked at my bank account today, and somehow, like, I got charged $102 for Google Ads for the page, and we had 93 clicks. So,
that hurts.
That's a lot of money.
That gets expensive.
Yeah.
That's like premium clicks at that kind of rate. Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't realize that I even signed up to pay for it. I thought it was like free, but they got me $102. So enjoy that on your social media.
Yeah. Speaking of bank accounts, if you'd like to support the show,
there you go.
Want to be a sponsor, reach out to Biggun at sfpradio@gmail.com, or you can always go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/SFP radio.
Or our OnlyFans account. It's called biscuit_gravy. Go check that out. It's just a picture of biscuit and gravy. So,
is it pay per view or how's that work?
Making biscuits.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just me baking biscuits, and then I just pour the gravy on it. So,
all right,
it's not anything dirty.
It doesn't have to be. All right. The free version of that's on our YouTube site. So,
you're right. Hey, I do want to say shout out to our listeners from France. All of a sudden, you guys have been popping up over there in Germany and France, so I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about France other than I've heard that it smells pretty weird. They have the Eiffel Tower.
Mm-hmm.
What else about France? Their food is supposed to be really good.
There's a lot of artwork over there.
Oh, yeah. The Louvre.
They claim they invented food. Versailles is that's it doesn't sound like it's spelled. I know that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't someone like rub cake on the Mona Lisa this week? Did you guys see that?
I did see that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Went through cake.
Someone threw a cake at the Mona Lisa. Like
apparently it's pretty disappointing.
Oh yeah.
Mona Lisa. Yeah.
It's tiny.
I'll be honest with you.
Small.
It's little.
When we went to the Sistine Chapel, wasn't that great. I'll be honest with you. So, it's okay.
It's an art historian there, right?
That's a very thorough review.
It was very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was way up there, so I couldn't see a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you have the Sistine Chapel, or like with that big pink church down in South Charlotte, Calvary, right? Which one's more impressive?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So anyway, thanks guys for listening over there in Europe. I'm not trying to badmouth you. I'm sure you're really cool. Maybe one day I'll go. And let me ask this question though: does anybody ever eat French dressing on their salads?
I don't think that's real.
The worst dressing, right?
I don't think. I like French dressing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, we need.
It's got to be like
dressing,
the elementary school salad bar French dressing, though. It's like a weird pale orange color. You can't find that anywhere. That's the good stuff. Or like the Western sizzling. It's the buffet. So they're probably mixing that with ranch or something. But you know what I'm talking about. Not Catalina. You get Catalina. That's too sweet.
Right.
This is what they're feeding the children.
Yeah, I like the tangy French. There's like a tomato something happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to ask Maria if she likes French dressing. I'm looking forward to that. Put that on the bucket list. Well, I'm going to ask you guys like I ask you every week, how you be doing? Start off with Erin. How you be doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Your hair looks exceptionally good today. Like it looks good all the time.
Oh,
But
that's
for
so
whatever
nice.
reason, it looks exceptionally well.
That's because I showered.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah.
Turns out that'll do it. Clean hair.
Wow.
That's why I wear a hat today, because I can't remember the last time I took a shower. Probably in like the late 90s.
April.
I had to guess.
Oh, okay.
It's like that sometimes. That was me last week.
Yeah.
Got a little sick. Had some things going on. Don't want to get too TMI. It was what it was. There was not a shower for a few days.
Sure.
We were struggling. There was a struggle.
Yeah.
So,
Aaron, you
on the
promised
mend.
me
We're
a
good now.
story a few weeks ago on the show, and I've been waiting for the story
oh gosh,
for like 3 weeks.
So, all right.
Here we go. Crisscross applesauce.
Get your popcorn, guys.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about this. Thanks, Ryan. It's going to feel like the dumbest story. It's really not that exciting, but
Can't wait.
Okay, so I posted this picture on my Instagram stories of what happened. So because I have to take a picture of like every moment, I have to have my phone out and doing stuff. It's I don't know.
You don't have a person for that?
Huh?
There's not a person following you around with the phone or a camera already?
I could hire someone, like a video, like a team.
Yeah,
just like
photographer.
Yeah,
people don't take their own pictures.
Like a
right?
24-hour, just like I need you here. I never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
I need you to just document my life.
Yeah.
So I'm at the gym. Leave the gym. We're in the parking lot. It's myself and two of my friends, and it's Talon, my friend Talon, and she had her baby and she needed her diaper changed. So we were like standing at the back of her car, as a parent does. The hatch is open.
Yep.
You're changing their diaper.
Yep.
It's all, you're just doing your thing.
Well, been there.
So we're sitting there. So her, she drives an SUV. So the whole thing is open. And I sit down and we're talking and I'm holding my keys. I have like my purse, whatever. And I don't know what came over me. I think I stroked out. I'm not really sure. I just tossed my keys. I mean, just tossed for no reason whatsoever. And they were right over a storm drain.
Oh.
So, I mean, they just went right through the hole in the storm drain. So I just sat there, looked, I was just like, I dropped my keys. And like no one really knew what happened. Like I just said it very quietly. I was like, I dropped my keys. I was in, I think, in denial and disbelief. The trainer who was teaching the class walked by, and he happened to see the situation. Kind of saw it happen, go down, So he comes over. He's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I got my keys."
That's a great question, trainer.
They are there. They're down this thing. I don't know. So we're like, does it even open? We don't know. We're like, does it open? So he and I open this thing. It is very heavy, by the way. Just FYI, And we get it propped up, and there are stairs, or not stairs. There's a ladder, kind of like there's like there's like metal. There's like metal pieces that you can climb down.
Whoa!
And he got down there, and he got my keys.
That's
so, like you're just sitting there, and then you just throw them down for no reason.
JT, I can't really say what happened. I don't really know.
Okay.
It was an out of body experience.
There was a breeze, like a strong wind blew.
It was. I literally had a stroke. I seized. I don't know. I
seized up.
I have this thing where I randomly
on the first try.
I do this thing where I'll just I'm very good about knocking things over randomly, or just I don't have control over my body or something. I don't know. Something's wrong with me.
I should probably look house like that.
It's fine. What?
Yeah, there's a person in my house like that.
Yeah.
She's 8. So.
Well, that's where the issue is. Yeah. I'm 32. Should be happening.
My next question is
spasm thing.
When he was down there, at any point, did he happen to see a Ninja Turtle? Was there?
He tried to look. He tried to look. There was this hole, because there's I guess it's where the water goes, the drain, whatever, is the bottom. Luckily, it had not rained.
Sewage.
So we weren't in an situation.
Civil engineering podcast.
Oh, God.
JT would have lived you can go down and get it.
Yeah, no, there will not be me going. I mean, one, I couldn't physically get down there. 2, I just get a really long coat hanger and just try to.
I was like, do we have a broom? I was like, does anyone have a broom? Or I was ready to do.
Wow.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So we retrieved the keys. I have a picture of it because obviously.
Well done.
So how many years of this class are you obligated to attend now is my question.
I'm signed up for a year, so at least that. Not more, and he will not let me live it down. Every time I see him, he makes me tell everyone what happened.
Sure. Smart.
And now you can just point them to this episode 201. You get the whole story and save my breath. There it is.
I just try to be an unforgettable person. Wherever I go, just leave a mark. That's what I say. Just leave a mark. Just leave your mark wherever you are.
It's the opposite of the leave no trace principle in the woods, right? Yeah.
I'm going to leave a trace. You're going to know.
Known to man.
I was here. Erin was there.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Erin will not be sneaking into Iraq or Afghanistan at any point.
CIA situation here, that's for sure. All right.
Mr. Brian, how you doing?
I'm glad to be back. I've been, I was going to say I've been bored for the last few weeks, but I haven't. It's been absolutely insane. But I did have a chicken sandwich today. That was a new chicken sandwich. And it was mediocre at best. I'll say that. So, I mentioned the restaurant a few weeks ago. It was, I don't remember, Slim Pickens, Slim Chicken, Slim Shady's Chicken Shack. I don't know. But I got their classic chicken sandwich, and it's not a contender. The bread was very good.
Slim Shady's chicken.
Yeah, the bread was the best. But actually, the French fries were the best part, which isn't even the chicken review. Imagine McDonald's French fries with the Bojangles seasoning on them.
Okay.
Well
done.
Those were good. So
sounds good.
I like it.
Yeah. So not worth the line around the building for sure.
Yeah, I hate that. Overhyped. It's not any good.
Yeah. How you be darn? You can tell us.
Listen, it's been like I've literally been sick for about a month. Like I was touch and go for a while. We had to cancel 2 shows because I was sick, and then like everybody else was sick, so we didn't do it the one time. And then now I've been 9 days of COVID. Screw HIPAA, whatever. You can know all about me. I don't care. 9 days of being in quarantine. It is the worst.
Show title.
Oh, I'm gonna have to ask Maria how I handle the rest of this. So I've tested positive every day, and I don't know when this thing's gonna end. And Jess is like, I can come to my office, and then I can go back upstairs into what I refer to as A1, which is the jail cell A1. And that's it. It's that in the bathroom. I don't even get like 3 hours of yard time. You know, it's just, that's it.
Wow.
You're going to wheel you out in one of those like chairs, you know, the old, like the wooden ones and with a blanket.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah,
on the lawn.
If it makes you feel any better.
It's going to be on the lawn.
If it makes you feel better, it's like 112 degrees outside, so you don't want to go there anymore.
Very much 1800s.
Yeah. I have one window that does open, but then I open it, and then my allergies like hit, and then I immediately close it, so that's not any good. So it's been quite miserable in the Biggun household. My poor wife is single parenting a 2-year-old, which is miserable. She's exhausted. I'm exhausted. We don't know what to do at this point. Aside from just large quantities of duct tape and Cheerios. That's kind of where we're at this point, is just to, duct tape her up and feed her Cheerios. And then the little vampire, by the way, get this. The little vampire yesterday decided she's going to take a chunk out of some kid's arm. She bit somebody and drew blood. And then it's immediately call the parents, the kid's going home. What is that going to teach the kid? It punishes us, because now we got to watch the little vampire, make sure she doesn't bite us. And then and so Jess is now trying to work. I'm upstairs now because I can't be downstairs. It was just miserable. I'm just done with this COVID. I'm about to go like full nuclear on whoever created this COVID thing. I'm just It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's how I've been doing.
Wow,
it's awful.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stay home and not ever leave.
I'm thinking about it. Like screw this. I'm just not ever going back out again.
I can get everything I need brought right to me. It's not a problem.
And the tough part is like 9 days of not being able to hold your family, and then small batches screaming on the door, "Daddy, Daddy," and I can't do anything about it. Oh, talk about
that's sad.
Dying. Yeah.
That's why she bit. She's just lashing out.
That's it.
That's it.
Thanks,
She's got aggression.
All right.
She's like, I haven't seen my dad in 9 days.
He's a father figure.
Yeah.
She could express that need.
Yeah, she's trying to process that.
Yeah.
And I want to know what that kid did. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the kid deserved it.
Done to for both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
speaking of leaving
I'm her
a mark on
attorney
the world,
and her defense attorney.
She's pulling Erin and leaving her mark on the world, literally. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Exactly.
I do want to know, what did you guys do for Memorial Day? Did you guys have any big parties? What did you guys do for Memorial Day?
I had a rager at my house. It was awesome. Yeah.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. With 7-year-olds.
Yeah. No, actually, adult people came to my house.
Wow.
Yes. Other adult people were invited, but had an issue getting there. Because
I am adult people.
Yes, that was her. And then, but Jack wasn't feeling well, so I appreciate you.
I was really bummed.
Yeah.
I was so bummed.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't even get an invite. So
well, there's a reason for that, But
no, it was a good call.
Technically, Erin didn't get an invite either, but
I didn't. I invited myself. I did.
Well done, ma'am.
Yeah,
I heard about the food that was going to be there, and I invited myself.
Yeah, just barbecue.
I didn't even get to go.
Pulled pork, coleslaw, mac and cheese. No big deal. Yeah, but yes, adult people came and they brought their brood of children with them. So it was a good time. Yeah.
Good time had by all. Erin, what did you guys do?
We did nothing.
Well done.
We had sickness in this household, so we went nowhere. Yeah. We watched Survivor.
Oh.
Okay.
We caught up on the last season, this previous season, and then we watched reruns of Survivor. And yeah.
All right.
Super fun.
I don't understand your watching habits. I don't understand some of the shows you watch, but that's okay. You do you.
I like to keep people on their toes. I don't want to be figured out.
Sure.
You don't need to.
You got to leave your mark. I mean, that's what it is.
You think you know me? You don't. You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
I do want to, gosh, I think it's been beaten to death about thoughts and prayers of the last school shooting. I don't understand it. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And you keep talking about it and nothing happens. I don't know where we do it except at the local level. Maybe just pitch a fit to your local representatives. But y'all, something's got to give. It breaks my heart to see this, and there's no reason for it. Really isn't. And, we'll talk guns all day long, but also at the end of the day, it's also mental health and a mental health issue. And so when we started to do this episode, it was Mental Health Month, and we've blown through the entire month. So that's why we had this month to talk about mental health. But we're just going to push it back 1 month and go ahead and talk about it now. So it's 8:00, and so now it's time for our feature presentation.
And now our feature presentation.
All right. So with us this week, we have Maria Russell. Maria has always had a passion for helping individuals, couples, and families cope with difficulties of their lives. Her desire is to help clients experience healing and life change through faith-centered therapy. She's trained in EMDR, restoration therapy, and equine therapy. I'm not going to say what it EALA, trained equine therapy. It's part of a military designated program. Maria, again, HIPAA out the window. You are my therapist, and wow, you are an absolute amazing person. Hi.
That's sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's out the box. I didn't say it. Y'all said it.
Right. No, I said it. It was me. My wife said we need to go to therapy mainly to understand, how do we navigate through the foster care system and keep our marriage good and all that kind of stuff. But I'll be honest with you, it has changed my life completely. Besides, the next thing was Jesus, and then it's you. So it has been an awesome experience to work with you and understand therapy. I've been to some really bad therapists, but you are one of the good ones, and I really appreciate that. I've got so many questions, but Erin's actually going to lead off because of the voice thing. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for your words. You're so sweet.
Awesome.
So, Erin, kick us off.
Maria, this is your first podcast, right?
It is very first.
Well, we wanted to put you at ease and put you with the novice interviewer, me. So, so I'm going to be conducting this. So yeah, we're both new at this. It's fine. Everything's going to be good.
Fun. It's totally fun. We got this.
It's going to be great. So yeah, thank you. I just want to echo what JT said. Yeah, you are also my lovely therapist. And I think that at least once a day, I'm probably name dropping, oh, Maria said, or, I went to Maria and, and so I am also very thankful for you and what you do. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah. And just kind of getting into that, like finding therapy and like finding a therapist, like can be kind of hard for people. And I think like as a therapist, like what are your thoughts on, how and like what someone can do to like find someone and questions to, figure out if they're a good fit for them, and how do you navigate that?
So this is a great question because so many people think it's like, find this one person online and then it's going to be easy peasy and then go straight into counseling and now we're good. But it can take a while, especially nowadays, because everybody, thankfully, tons of people are seeking counseling, getting help for anxiety, depression, trauma. So lots of people are full. And so the thing that I typically recommend is obviously first, if you have word of mouth. So somebody who's been to counseling who says, hey, I know this person personally, like start there.
Yeah.
But if not that, then there are tons of different directories. The one that most people use is called Psychology Today. And all you do is type in your zip code and then a long list of people come up and you can look at names, look at their faces, see if you like them just based on their profile. And then you can actually interview them. And this is the thing that a lot of clients don't realize is that you get to pick who you like. If you have a phone call with them and you don't like the personality, move on to the next one. If you ask them about some of their, like, here's some issues that I'm dealing with, what's their specialty? And if you think it's going to be a good fit, try it out. Sometimes it's great and you can do all your work, all the hard work with that person. And sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. And you just move on.
Yeah. Yeah. How long do you feel like when you are, say you like kind of get past that step maybe and go to meet with someone, like how long would you give it, I guess, like to where you feel like, okay, this is a good fit, this is not, like, is there a window of time or is it like, okay, first session, you kind of just know, or like, how does that?
Sometimes sometimes you know right away. A lot of times I would say give it the first 2 or 3 sessions because you are probably nervous or worried about what you're saying and what you have to talk about. And so it's probably best to let you kind of get into it. And then once you have been there a couple times, if you definitely know by the third time, like if you're not a good fit by the third time, I'm just not going to reschedule and don't go back.
Yeah.
Go to therapy, just find somebody else.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. How do you feel like, kind of transition to, like, we were just talking about like JT dealing with COVID and like how long it's been. He's like, it's so hard on your mental health. Like, and obviously we've seen, over these last 2 years, like this, just like, this is like really hard mental health, like journey that we've all been on, like with the isolation and everything, and just like the ups and downs of COVID. And even like this far in, and we're like, oh, it's still, impacting us. And how do you feel like as a society, like that has, in your view, impacted us, like with our mental health? What have you seen?
Well, just like JT was saying, 9 days in quarantine, it's isolating. You're not with your family. You don't feel good physically, which also impacts how you're feeling mentally. And so just on that base level of, if you get COVID, you don't feel well. Your mental health is kind of anxiety, depression, it all kind of sinks in. But then when you think about over the long haul, people were home for a long time, and that created a sense of feeling trapped, a sense of feeling like the unknown and the fears and the worries that come with that. And so I think there are pockets of like feeling normal and like people being back out and in the world again. And then after all this time, you still get COVID. And it's like, wait a minute, we're not out of it. Like it's still here. And so we did see a huge influx of people who were seeking therapy after being in quarantine and being shut down for so long. And actually, there are people who have long COVID, and their anxiety comes from getting COVID. Like, not just, hey, I was in quarantine, but it is a side effect of long COVID. So we've seen a lot of that as well. So it's just hard. So it's even more important to seek that help now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I feel like even like over the time that I was at home and we would meet online or Zoom or, whatever. And that's such an important tool was for me, like to be able to have, and I'm sure for you as a therapist, like being able to see your clients and just get online with, get in that Zoom call with them if they need it, and not having that, like they have to come see you in person. And I think that's so important too. With everything, like being able to do that is amazing. Right. I know it was for me.
And it's still an option, which is really good because we have people who can't come to work because the kid is sick or their school got shut down for 2 weeks. Now they're in quarantine, or not the whole school, but I think y'all have had a couple sending home from daycare for 2 weeks. And so Zoom has been a really good option to continue that even in the midst of being shut down and stuck at home.
Yeah.
Maria, at this point, I have gathered most of Lila's stuffed animals, and we're having scheduled tea parties at this point. We're getting into arguments. Is that a sign of mental health breakdown?
That is a sign of you connecting with that inner child and really leaning into loving her as her father.
There we go. All right. Okay. Baby Dinosaur and I have words at night, so I don't know. I can't trust him anymore.
Talking to the wall or something.
Yeah.
I might have heard
about that. Up there in A1.
It gets lonely in A1. You're right.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And so I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We just got off this. Our last series, we were talking about like deconstructing, or not. JC, was our last series or the series or before? I don't know. Anyway,
we talked about deconstructing faith, and in our last series, we were doing the racism, understanding racism.
Right. Yes, I get them mixed up. I was like, which was first? Okay, we were talking about deconstructing faith, and one thing I think is so important is like having that balance of like, as yourself, like as a person of faith, like how do you like navigate like, that impacting the work that you do, and like the negative narrative, like the church sometimes of like, around like this secular psychology of like, we need to be pointed to Jesus, and we need to be like praying and doing all these things. And like, how can we like, from your view, like how have you kind of navigated like that view? And then also like, oh no, but we can also go to therapy and like have both. And so like, how do you feel like that has impacted the work that you do?
So unfortunately, this comes up far too often where people have come to counseling after they have been gone to a pastor or in their church where they've been told to pray more, or you only are anxious because you don't have Jesus. And so there's a lot of healing of emotional religious trauma. And so that, I guess, that's such unfortunate anyway, because nobody should have to experience that, especially when they're in their faith. And so there is a lot of that. And then thankfully, there are churches and pastors who are very big advocates for mental health. And so they push their people to go seek therapy. And in sessions, like if the person brings it up as part of something they want to incorporate, then I do. Obviously, not all of my clients have a faith or want to discuss it or use it. And so I kind of go based on where they are.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's so huge, because you're very sensitive of if I should go there or if I shouldn't go there. And then there's days where I feel like I want a religious session, and there's times where I don't feel like it. But you're really good at not pushing that boundary and forcing it. I remember one therapist I had, and I told you, is they just told me to put all my problems in a little box and give it to Jesus. Like, really, that's it? Like, it's Like that's your therapy. So it's miserable, but you navigate that really well. And I respect that a ton about you, is that you can figure out where you need to push and where you don't, or you want to go there in a faith or a secular type of psychology. So I really appreciate that about you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. What do you feel like led you to wanting to become a therapist? Like, yeah.
So I started out my college career. I was pre-med. Here we go. That lasted 2 days. And then I was like, okay, maybe something along like business line of things. That didn't last, but maybe a semester. And I know this sounds so cheesy, but I was in my dorm room sitting at my desk, and I felt this sense of like, okay, go, you're going to be a counselor. I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, what do you mean? What does that even mean? And so I started researching and figuring out what you needed to do. I applied to one school, and that's what I did. And the rest is history. So I really felt the call to it, almost literally.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I feel like there's so many ways we can kind of land in our careers, and it's like, it just takes that one moment, like someone to say something or to guide you, or just like letting whatever you believe, like that Holy Spirit just kind of be like, I feel like this is what I need to do. And traveling down those other roads and like, okay, this didn't work for me. So this is where I'm going to go. Was there ever a point when you were like in school and you were like, why did I do this? What am I doing? Like, or do you feel like it was like,
probably,
okay, like,
you mean when I finally landed on counseling?
Yeah.
No, I think it felt pretty solid. So graduated, started my master's, and from that point I was like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. So there wasn't any second guessing after the first 3 or 4 times that I changed my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you feel
where did you go, Maria?
Oh, sorry. Good.
Excuse me?
Where did you go to school?
Undergrad, I went to UNC Chapel Hill, and then for my master's, I went to Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary.
Okay, very cool.
It's in Charlotte. Yep.
Nice.
How do you do you feel like, when did you start that journey into the like equine therapy, and like, how did that all begin for you?
So that was by accident. I worked at a group home in the mountains, and there were some donors who wanted to give us all this money to help the children. And they wanted to build a barn. And so we're like, sure, we will take all your money. And then we had to figure out what to do with the horses in the barn. And one of the other therapists found a program that used horses just down the road, and we all got trained in it. And from then on, I have used equine therapy. When I moved back home to Kannapolis, where I found somewhere that I worked to make sure that they had that kind of program. And then when I went on my own, I connected with somebody to keep doing the work with the horses. So,
yeah. How has that been like a helpful tool for you with therapy?
It is one of those things that until you experience it is really hard to explain. But there's a power with the horses that they just meet every client where they are. There's a special connection. There's an unfolding of their story with the horses. And so it's one of my favorite parts of my week. I do it just on Fridays. That's my barn day. And I love my people in the office. And so it's hard because I love my people and I love the people with the horses. And so I think it just gives me a good balance of having just the different places and different environments to work in. But it's just a powerful tool. I seriously can't explain how connected people become. And we have a veterans program out there. So we work a lot with PTSD and military trauma. So that's been such a huge thing that we've gotten to do out there.
Yeah. When do you feel like is like the right time to use equine therapy, or like, how do you like assess a client and like, okay, like we could go this route and this would be helpful for you?
Sometimes it's just they randomly say they like horses. I'm like, oh, well, I have a place where you can go work with some horses. Sometimes when people feel stuck, where they're a lot in their head and they can't process through their thoughts and they can't really get into their bodies to express their emotions. But the horses, it's going to come out. Like, you don't have to talk or have to verbalize anything for it to come out with the horses. And so I'll do that a lot, is just say, hey, you know what? Like, what if we try that to see if there's some more stuff that can come up out there?
Yeah. Is it like, I guess like walk me, I'm like super interested in the equine. I'm like, this is so fascinating. Like, I'm just like, I love animals. So I'm like, I personally, I know. I'm like, wait a second. I'm literally like, Maria, are we trying to go out to the equine?
Yes.
I'm like, hold on. Do I need the equine therapy?
Come on. Yes.
I'm really like, am I Canada? Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just so fascinated. I'm like, I guess like walk me through a session, or like what sometimes it looks like, or do you do something different every time with that? Or like, how does that work when you get there?
Yeah, we have a general framework. So if it's the first session, we introduce them to the barn and have them meet the horses. So after that first session, we talk about that everybody has a story. And when our stories change, we change. And so they will go out and connect with the horses in terms of like, okay, so this one may come up and remind them of a mom, or this one may remind them of their 4-year-old selves, or this one may be called kindness and love, or that one can be called hate and bullying. Depends on the age of the client out there. But so you connect people or terms. So it's a really projection of what's going on inside the client. And when that unfolds in front of them, so I'm the therapist, and my coworker, Katie, she's the equine specialist, and it takes the team. And so when we're out there, we're both kind of talking to each other, and we're pointing out the behaviors of the horses. And so, for example, like, okay, so Dad just walked up past the big dark brown horse. What's the big dark brown horse? And somebody may say, oh, well, that's me. He just bypassed me every single time and never saw me. So that would connect them to, wait a minute, I felt missed. I didn't feel seen. And so then they can continue their story through the horses in that way.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I love animals. Like, they're so, personally, I'm like, they're so intuitive, and like, especially horses. And like, I just think, I mean, it's why we have like therapy dogs and stuff too. You know, it's like, I just think I love dogs. So I'll move on from the animals. I'm sorry.
Right. You have a question. You're deep in thought down there.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I was keeping the video off of myself because I'm not an animal person, and especially not a horse person. So I'm like, wow, you know, I do have a question though, because I have a feeling there's a few of people out here quite like me, who doesn't. I don't think I need therapy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel fine, right? That's me. Like, and you know, Biggun shaking his head up there because he knows me. But it's like
everybody needs therapy.
Everyone needs, right? But I don't feel like there's something I need to accomplish, like by going to see someone. Like, I don't feel like there's a box I got to check to make some life changing thing. I don't feel the need that like something has to shift. You know. You know, I joke with my wife, say, yeah, you probably need therapy, but I'm good. You know, like that's sort of, you know, it's a joke. She knows it's a joke.
Right.
She slaps me when I say it, but, you know, like, what do you do in that situation? Like with someone like me, I'm sure there's lots of other stubborn guys out there. So,
well, and that's what I would say. Like, do you have emotions?
Sometimes.
Do you sometimes? Okay, so maybe that would be a place to start. Is if sometimes you have emotions.
Yeah.
What was that?
He's a 5, just so you know.
Okay. So they're there.
We're good.
They just take a little bit longer to access in there. But everybody has moments or ways that they can grow and mature. And so in that, it's kind of being able to unpack where you are and where you've been to see where you want to go. So it's not about necessarily achievement or reaching some kind of endpoint. I have clients that I've seen for 6 years. Now they'll come in once a month, every 2 to 3 months, and then sometimes every 6 months, just to kind of check in. But there's always something. If you live a life where you are present in your life and want to grow and to continue to mature in who you are, counseling can be good for you.
Interesting.
That is a great question, though, because I think a lot of guys, I know a lot of guys will just say, well, just emotions are stupid. I don't want to deal with it. Or I don't need it. But that's the farthest thing from the truth, right? I think the world would be a better place if more guys did go to therapy.
Yeah, I think it was a few weeks ago.
Ask, what are you afraid of?
Yeah. I think I was talking to Erin. She was talking about a TV show. Was it? I forget which one it was. I was like, I don't watch that because I don't want to feel things, right?
Oh, was it This Is Us?
Maybe it was a day. I was like, I don't want to have feelings while I'm watching a television show. I want to be entertained, you know. Yeah. So
bad feelings.
So
you don't have to feel all the time. You know, it's like you can just be okay to like feel in the moment, and then you just move on. You get it out, and then you're good. And then you just.
So the key is actually like you feel something all the time. It's the awareness of the feeling that you increase.
Sounds terrible.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh man. We're gonna get you in there, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen.
We're gonna do it. Maria, what does a win or a good day in the office look like for you?
So I think for me, it's when people make a connection to something. It doesn't have to be like a huge success of like, yay, we have a huge breakthrough, but a connection either within themselves or about something that's going on. Just to be able to know that they are getting it or they got it within themselves. That feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you like go home and separate your work life, like dealing with this job that can be probably obviously really heavy. You're hearing a lot of stories, you're hearing a lot of emotions, obviously, and then having to go home and kind of like live your own life. How do you do that?
So I don't watch This Is Us.
Good. Honestly, good. It's probably good.
Too much. Yes. So that is one of them where my husband will ask me, okay, where are we tonight? Like, are we like a 30-minute funny or an hour drama? And so it depends on the night, depends on what happened that day. But I learned a long time ago that I have to shut off. So put my computer away, try not to answer texts or calls. On the weekends, just have fun with my husband and my kids because we have normal stuff, baseball, gymnastics, and small group. And so we just, life just keeps happening. So learning how to turn it off, like walk out the door, turn it off, and then I'm just me.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of relate to that. I mean, I'm a hairstylist and we've talked about this, but like I hear so much in a day and so much, and just like talking in general. Like people are, I mean, I'm sure people will realize, but I don't know. I mean, I like to talk. Obviously, it's what I picked this career because I like it. But it's like, you get to that point where you're like, I gotta like sit in the car in silence or something. Like, or I've got, I've been talked out all day, or like I've heard, this range of stories in everybody's life, and they're dumping it on you, and like. Yeah, I completely get that on a very small scale. But
Well, and even sometimes in the car, I'm like, do I want music or just silence? So, because I only have a 7-minute drive, I don't have very far. So sometimes it's just quiet for those 7 minutes. Then I get home and
nothing. Yeah, I totally get that about like what to watch at night. I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, I need like The Office tonight, or like something silly. I'm like, I need like something really dumb. I can't do serious. I totally relate to that. What do you feel like are some like roadblocks you've faced or do face like as a therapist?
So I think insurance, unfortunately, is such a pain. It's a battle for the therapist. It's a battle for the client to find people that can take their insurance, and sometimes they don't. Like, I'm not going to take insurance very much longer. So that's a big roadblock, and I hate that. Like, our system is so. I could get on a soapbox. Our system's messed up.
Get on the soapbox.
I would like to hear the soapbox.
Universal health care.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it. So that can be a roadblock. Sometimes just capacity. There are only so many people that I can see in a day. And there are only so many people that I can see in a week. And so it's hard when like people are calling or trying to get in. Like, I can't help everybody. And not in like, oh, I want to help everybody kind of way, but really it is so painful to have to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't get you in, or it's going to be a 6-week wait. So the capacity is really a roadblock as well.
Right.
I just learned how to say no.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. Do you feel like it's hard do you feel like as a therapist, like was that something that came easy to you, or were you like, this is actually work? Like, this is hard.
That it was really hard at first. So I used to see 36 people in a week, and that is terrible. Like, that shouldn't happen. So now I'm down to 28 to 30 because I've put boundaries around my schedule, and there's only so many people I can have. So no is really hard, really, really hard at first. So it just takes practice.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone is struggling with that, what advice would you give, I guess? Like, if you're like, they're like, I'm really struggling to set these boundaries at work, or like, scale back my time, or I feel this guilt, that we kind of all go through when we set any boundary, but especially that, like, what advice do you give in that situation?
I think to remember that anytime you're saying yes, say to a client that you can't really get in, you're saying no to something else, either your family or your time or your self-care or your mental health. And so when somebody told me the more you start saying no, you're actually be able to start saying more yeses. And that has stuck with me. And so that's the kind of the motto I live by. Like, I can say no to this, which means yes to a whole lot more.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really good. That's really good. Okay, one more question.
Well,
it's going to be the hardest one you answer tonight.
Here's a question. So EMDR and restoration therapy, what are those things? Can you kind of explain that a little bit of what those therapies are like?
Mm-hmm. So EMDR is a way of processing trauma. It engages the mind, the emotions, the negative beliefs, and the physical part of it. Sometimes people I call them my little buzzies, and you hold them in your hand, they buzz back and forth. But it's, so it activates all the brain, because trauma is not just a thinking thing. Trauma is held all over your body. And so a lot of times when people say I've processed my trauma, they mean they've talked about it. Well, that keeps it up here. When your body feels overwhelmed and anxious, when you feel tense, when you feel sick to your stomach, like, your whole entire body is screaming, hey, I need help down here. And so that helps someone process top to bottom, heart, mind, body, and soul. And we actually use EMDR out with the horses as well. But instead of the buzzies, they use the horses as their physical sensation. And that's one of my favorite things to do as well. Yeah.
That's cool. And restoration therapy, what is that?
So restoration therapy is about getting to people's negative beliefs they have about themselves, which creates a pain cycle. So, for example, if I have this belief that I'm not enough, or I'm rejected, and you say something to me and I start feeling rejected, then I react out of that, even though you didn't reject me, but my trauma says I am. So I'm going to lash out, get defensive, get angry. And then that person when they lash out, the other person may feel not enough or I'm alone, and they respond in their cycle. So it's really understanding how each other's cycles, like our own pain cycle, and how it butts up against friends and family and spouses and those types of things.
And we've gone through that as well. So I understand that too. So one thing that I do want to point out is therapy isn't just a magical pill that you swallow. If you go in an hour later, you come out and like, oh, the world's fine. One thing that I have noticed and I've done is you have to do the work. So it's not even like when we talk about even at church and stuff like that, is it's not just that hour session. It's when you leave there using the tools that you give us on a daily basis on when these things come up, how do we react to that? And I think that's where a lot of disconnect is, of people just think, oh, well, I'll just be fine. You have got to do the work outside of therapy. And it really does change for me, is one of those things where I'm like, oh, like I'll do something and I'm like, oh, but I remember this in this session and we talked about this and this is why I've done that. And slowly, making those connections so that maybe next time I don't handle it as horribly, or, I do a better job next time of controlling anger or whatnot. But please, if you go to therapy, one thing I'll tell you is do the work and make sure that you're committed to making sure that you try to do those things when you leave therapy.
Yes. Amen to all of that. Because I actually had one person tell me, like, I thought I was supposed to feel good when I left therapy. I was like, who told you that? Because it is really hard work and it's practice. You will not get it perfectly, and it's practice forever. So you'll get it more often and be better with whatever it is that you've worked on or trying to improve on, but it won't be perfect.
Yeah.
So people can get discouraged real quickly with that. And if they just understand that, so that's a great point. Do the work.
Yeah. All right. I think Erin has our last and final question. Again, it's going to be the toughest one of the night.
This is actually the last question.
Okay.
Do you put milk or cereal in your bowl first when you're making cereal? Milk or cereal?
We need to have a discussion. Are there two ways to do this?
Apparently.
No.
This is what I've been told, but I do not believe it.
Right. There are sociopaths, and then everybody else who pours their cereal first.
Exactly.
Whoa. Did you hear what she said?
Wait, are you?
Did you hear what she said?
You put in the milk
Did you hear what she
Did you
said?
say cereal first? Wait, what'd you say?
She said, I'm not sure, I think I got mixed up. She called somebody a sociopath. I want to make sure it wasn't me.
Do you put in the milk or the cereal first?
I don't. How does that even work? Help me.
Cereal
first, right?
Cereal first,
Correct.
and then milk.
Okay. We're good.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Everybody else is the same.
Okay. I thought I got mixed up on the phrasing there. I went, oh no.
I was like,
Right.
what?
No.
I was like, I thought that's what you said. But Ryan was like, wait. I was like,
Sorry.
hold on. I was scared.
That's our question in this. There was a TikTok video and people were saying that they put cereal or milk in first. And I'm like, that's not normal. Like, people are crazy if they do that.
Yeah, we had a few weeks ago at church. So in the morning, all our volunteers circle up and they do like some kind of icebreaker question. And the question was, what's a question you would ask people just as like an icebreaker to kind of get a gauge on the person, like when you're first meeting someone. And because of this show, I brought up the milk and cereal thing. And there's 25 people in a circle here. And everyone has a very similar reaction. And there's one dude, I'm not going to say who it was, who's like, looks scared, right? Like, it's like, oh, I'm the guy that does the milk first. Like, it's like, and it was just interesting.
Now you know who to avoid, Brian.
Right.
Right.
I liked him. I thought he's see?
Exactly.
There we go.
Here's the card of somewhere.
That's the litmus
someone
test.
I know.
Cereal therapy.
A couple things. My wife says hi from the Maria fan club president.
Hi.
Oh,
And she
she's
says,
also a sociopath.
I don't like. Yeah, I don't like
She's
soggy
saying go
cereal.
first.
So
Are
she
you married
does
to a
her cereal in
sociopath?
batches. So she says she's going to talk about it next session. Is she'll put the milk in and then pour little bits of cereal into her bowl and then eat it real fast because she doesn't like it getting soggy. Again, psychopath.
I have a device
So
for
you've
that.
got some work to do with her.
I have a cup.
Katie, blink twice if you need help.
I have a device I bought for my wife years ago that keeps the milk and cereal separate. You're supposed to like eat it, like you tilt it back and it all hits at the same time. But it only works with very specific cereals,
Right.
because of the shapes and things. You can't do like
That's
a bigger. It's got to be like Fruity Pebbles or go home. That's the only thing that works, I think. So.
Wow. Well, Maria, thank you so much for coming on. You know that we love you. If people do want to reach out, I know you're booked, so I get that. But you can also refer them to somebody that you trust and you believe is a great therapist. Where can people get a hold of you?
So they can go to the website at kannapoliscounseling.com. They can email us at info@kannapoliscounseling.com. And those are going to be the quickest, easiest ways to get a hold of me. I can give you the number, but just email. I'd rather get an email.
It's going to be on our show notes. It'll be all there.
Right. Perfect.
Perfect. Maria,
Thank you
did
for
a
having me. I
great
really
job.
appreciate it.
Thank you for being on. You're awesome. Have a
you.
great night. And again, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, Maria.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. So lessons we've taken away is if you put in the milk first, you're psycho, and producer Brian needs therapy.
That sounds terrible. I'm fine. I'm fine here.
As spoken as a true five.
Yeah. I mean, you guys talked about being after like a long day of work about talking to people all day. Mm-hmm. I'm the opposite. So I work from home. I have very little like interaction, like face to face or vocally. And then my family comes home and I would like for the silence to continue.
You need to borrow my duct tape.
It's just like a jarring, it's just like, it's like someone throwing a rock in a pond is what it is. It's a calm, still water. And then like a dump truck backs up and just throws all the gravel and makes a tidal wave. That's my therapy session.
Yeah.
There you go, guys.
Well, there you go. Go woosah, on your earlobe. Understand.
What?
Remember woosah from Bad Boys for Life?
Oh, I don't.
He's trying to calm down and he rubs his earlobes and he keeps going woosah, woosah, woosah.
I remember Goose Fraba from Anger Management.
Well, might be the same thing. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another wonderful episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy podcast brought to you by Batman. Next week, we'll continue the discussion with mental therapy. Don't know who we're going to have yet, but we'll have somebody. Thanks again for tuning in. Sorry for the delay. Hopefully my voice will be somewhat back, so we won't have to deal with this anymore. Erin, you did a great job, by the way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well done. Good job. Nailed it. So thanks again for tuning in to the Southern Fried Philosophy podcast. And as always, keep looking up. I'm Batman.